StarCraft fans, this is MarineKush casting a game on Xel'Naga Caverns. It's going to be a Terran versus Terran. We are already underway in the action. Let's introduce the players. It's going to be Slayer's Dragon in the bottom left-hand corner playing as the red Terran, and his opponent going to be NeoRedArchon. I don't know too much about this player, but he is going to be our blue Terran in the top right corner. Let me tell you a little bit about Slayer's Dragon if you haven't heard him. He is kind of a youngish player. He streams a lot on Justin.tv. He's been streaming some incredible games lately. In fact, I watched him go from on the Taiwan server all the way to rank 1 Grandmaster in just a matter of, I think, less than a week. He was just spamming so many games, grinding hard, and just straight to the top with the GM ladder. So that's pretty impressive stuff. This kid knows how to play, and this is a game to watch for sure. So as we said, this game is underway. Went for that standard racks into refinery. Going to be walling off here. Let's take a look at Neo's base. Not too sure if Neo or Red is anything to do with his clan or team, but I'm going to call him Neo. Haven't heard too much about this player. Going to assume that it's not a team and that Neo is part of his name. So it looks like Neo going for that racks and following it up with probably a factory. Not getting that early command center yet. Yeah, there goes the factory. And I think we'll see something very similar out of Dragon. Yeah, here's his factories well placed in the top left corner. Going to want to just kind of hide that tech. Looks like Neo not really interested in his tech, so probably going to go for more of a standard opening, probably with some tanks and marines. Often if we see players hiding their tech outside of this central area where the scan often comes down, you know they might be going for some sort of Banshee or Blue Flame play. The metagame now for Terran versus Terran, it does include a lot of Blue Flame drops and Cloak Banshee openings, so players trying to hide that as much as possible. Couple of Marines going to hold the tower here for Neo, and as this Marine here holding both towers in fact. So a lot of map control currently for Neo, and here we see a starport follow-up from this factory, and a Hellion being produced by Dragon. If we take back a look at Neo's base, getting a reactor on his racks, and a second refinery, and going to be throwing down a starport, looks like it. Yes, there is the starport. So both players going to go for that 1-1-1 opening, opting for that quick tech. Typically, if you go for a command center first, after that racks, you still need to tech up because Vikings so good against Banshees. Marines can often be kited by them. And at this Grandmaster level, you do see some very good Banshee control. So it looks like we have a Hellion moving up for Dragon, going to be doing some scouting, but these Marines going to be joined up by this Hellion, and going to do a little bit of a poke up. I hope he closes his ramp in time, or all these units might be able to get it. He does close it in time. These two Marines were waiting for a Reaper, but no, it's going to be a Hellion and Marine push, so going to pull back these 4 Marines. Is he going to be able to get down this tech lab? No, so looks like, Hellion getting a nice shot off on all these Marines, but the Hellion missed by quite a bit there, and it's 3 Marines to 3 Marines. Going to be able to hold this off indeed, so making another Marine, and Hellion comes back to try and help out. And it looks like, this probably Hellion is going to be taken out by Neo's Hellion and Marine, so always nice to have that 1 Marine escort for your Hellion. And here we have a Banshee coming out, but also a tech lab on this factory. He's getting a Hellion and Blue Flame, so not going to be going for Cloak, just a single Banshee. Going to try and force some turrets out of Neo, and looks like Neo's going for a command center follow-up. Going to get that 1 Viking out. I think he suspects some Banshee play, as he didn't see any add-on here, and realizes that it's most likely that there's some sort of tech going on. And so always safe to get a Banshee, whether you're going to use it here to defend against always good to get a Viking to defend against a Banshee, but also you can place some Vikings around here trying to prevent drops from entering your base. So we see the Banshee is moving out now. No cloak, so going to be interesting to see how many kills he can get, and is it worth getting that Banshee. But even if he doesn't do direct damage, as I said before, it may force Neo to get some static defenses. Looks like we see a command center for Dragon as well. Throwing down a reactor, going to be wanting to get either more Marines, or maybe going to swap this factory over for some reactored Hellions. So definitely going to favor those Hellions. Both players getting a Raven now. Scan goes down. Banshee going to try and pick off what he can. There goes 1 Marine. A second Marine goes down as well. Just going to skirt around the edge of the base, trying to get as much information as he can, but no, that Banshee's going to have to go home as this Viking is out. They're both the same speed, but a Viking will definitely repel a non-cloaked Banshee. So Raven out for Neo, going to be using that in case the base cloaking on the way. 1 more kill there for that Banshee. This Viking going to be heading all the way across the map, preventing that Banshee from doing any more damage. A couple Hellions out now for Dragon, going to be going for that Looks like he's still making Hellions out of this factory as well. So 3 Hellions probably be making at a time if he swaps this factory over here. And Starport making a reactor, and it left this tech lab here. So interesting to see. Oh, it's going to be another factory there. So up to 3 factory. Also getting an eBay. Let's take a look back at Neo's base. Yeah, siege tank, marine, getting that siege mode, and stim. So looks like Dragon going for Hellions. A lot of Hellions. Not really producing marines anymore at this time. His command center is morphing into that orbital, going to save up some energy and drop that mule before he does move that orbital out. 3 more racks on the way for Neo. Going to be opting for that biotank mix. Very standard stuff. Going to be getting a few medevacs and Vikings as well, but a lot of Hellions out on the field now. 7 to be precise. Going to have to follow these guys to see where they're headed. Looks like they might just march straight into the natural of Neo. Got to be careful of these siege tanks though. Not that much here to defend. Roasting 3 Marines, that was huge. Oh my god, these SCVs are just completely alone. Nothing to defend. Running into a couple tanks now. Just going to pick off a few more SCVs as they get those workers killed. 10, 11 workers killed now for Dragon. But these Hellions not going to be able to do too much more damage. More Hellions, a couple Vikings, and a Raven. So definitely want to get that air control, as if he can get a few Banshees out to negotiate with these tanks, the Hellions can take care of the bio. Sending this Rax out. Looks like he's going to be using it for scouting now. He hasn't produced any Marines for some time. Tank sieged up in a nice defensive position. Going to be very difficult to get any Hellions into here, but the Dragon definitely has map control now. He has, 9 Hellions, a couple Marines, a 1 Banshee, and a Viking Raven. So maybe he looks like he wants to engage here. Gonna roast a couple Marines here. Hellions moving all the way in, but taking so much splash damage. Vikings landing now, and this 1 Banshee gonna try and pick off a few tanks, but no, he's getting focused down by these Marines. Oh, he does go down, and that Banshee was critical to this push. So, gonna force Dragon back. Neo just using a couple Marines and nice siege tank positioning. So that's it for that engagement. Looks like Dragon's gonna have to pull back. Just sitting on a couple Vikings and Raven right now. So definitely gonna have to pull all the way back. Does not want to get pushed. Oh, sorry guys. Looks like we see the Raven of Neo throwing down a few turrets here, and they're totally preventing Dragon from doing any mining. Maybe Neo looking to push out soon, as he does have a huge tank advantage. 3 tanks to 0 of Dragon. So Dragon is producing some tanks of his own, and it looks like he does not have siege mode yet. He's going to be wanting to invest in that. Definitely useful for taking out these kind of turrets, because Hellion's not so good against them. In fact, they do have that 1 armor, but Hellion's really only good against light units such as Marines and SCVs. Looks like we do have a force now coming out for Neo. Nice Banshee tank mix. Ooh, and Dragon is completely out of position, but even these units wouldn't be able to do too well against the tank. Banshee, the tank and Marines, but he's got to bring them back immediately. Oh, almost getting picked off there by the tanks. Marines pushing in. Is he going to be able to siege up in range of the command center? Yeah, it looks like if these tanks do not have siege mode, they're going to have to pull back. 1 tank does go down for Dragon, and it looks like, ooh, these tanks are going to do a ton of damage. Maybe able to get this command center, in fact. Vikings forced to landing, going to try and clean up these Marines. Yes, they do pick off some Marines, and command center just taking a lot of damage. SCV's got to repair this. It's burning down, getting pretty low on health. Looks like he will save it in time, but another turret being thrown down here for Neo. Repositioning his tanks now. Dragon is in a lot of trouble. That supply difference is already at 40. He's got to get that siege mode finished. It is complete now. Going to be setting up these tanks and using these Vikings for the vision. Does take out that 1 turret. Is he going to be able to get down this Raven? No, not quite yet. All about tank positioning right now. It's going to be up to Neo to save up enough scans so that he can scan for his tanks, because these Vikings are definitely controlling the air. Marines stemming in now, but these tanks are going to be able to clean them up. Oh, they're getting pretty close. They've got to get closer though if they want to avoid this siege damage. Very nice SCV repair here by Dragon. So still not able to land this command center or mine. Looks like his main is almost mined out. It's going to be up to Dragon to break this contain very soon. Looks like, oh, more Marines and tanks moving out now for Neo, and he's got a lot of racks pumping Marines. Almost mined out himself at the main, but he is taking a 3rd base. A lot of minerals being mined here, a lot of mules going down. These tanks just being so annoying. We're going to have to break this very, very soon as we see that supply still up at almost 60 supply lead for Neo. So Dragon in a lot of trouble here. Doing a good job of repairing up any tanks that take any damage. A Viking is here now for Neo, but these two Vikings have Slayers. Dragon going to be able to clean that up pretty easily. And looks like he's going to put this tank in range. Nope. This is very nice positioning here by Dragon. He's going to want to use this Vikings. No, not even necessary. Looks like he's using the command center for vision. But the problem is with this third going up for Neo, and looks like a drop coming in for Neo as well. Very difficult for Dragon to react to this. A lot of SCVs being pulled. These Vikings trying to pick off these medevacs before it drops. Does get two Marines caught up in that, and these tanks going to have to siege up. And SCV's doing a great job of damaging this tank without taking any damage. Tank does go down, but these siege tanks are no longer in range of these Marines, so forcing all those SCVs off the line once again. And looks like he is almost done with his third here, and this turret still preventing some mining around here, but looks like he did clean that up eventually. But oh my goodness, look at the supply. That's 55, 65, 66 or so supply different. But if we look at the unit station, actually Dragon just producing tanks right now. He's up to 7 against Neo's 2, but I don't know, pretty tough to come back from 60 supply lead, especially when your opponent has his third up and you're only mining off a natural. This is almost completely mined out and will be very soon. So a ton of Marines coming out, but the problem with this is for Neo is that Marine's not so good about against 7 tanks, and if Dragon can get out a few more Hellions, he will be safe for some time, maybe able to take that third of his own. And this is kind of the point where Dragon doesn't even need to make too many more units because his composition is so good against